required for pesticide applications to, over, or near water. NPDES permits are basically the Clean Water Act permits that would regulate a factory. And based on a court decision, EPA and the states are requiring that pesticide applications to water, over water, or near water be regulated and require permits, the same as a factory that was discharging a pollutant directly into the water. This makes no sense, but EPA was put in a corner based on a lawsuit and a court decision, and we're living with the consequences. So when we say to water, we're talking about things like aquatic weed control to control invasive species like hydrilla in water bodies. Over water is generally mosquito control, forest canopy control. Those are the types of pesticide uses that currently require NPDES permits. Well, you know, most of us don't do that. We maintain lawns. So what is the issue for us? Well, the issue is the Clean Water Act allows citizen action lawsuits. And so while certain applications only require pesticides, there's a lot of gray area, and we do expect that environmental groups can start to sue to try to expand the scope of those permits to include individual pesticide applications on terrestrial uses, whether it be lawns or parks or other crops. And so this is very important to stop this regulation and expand it. The other thing is the way the NPDES permit regime is set up, it varies from state to state. There are 6 states that are bound by an EPA permit that has a set of criteria. All of the other states have their own permits. And most of those permits are based on the EPA permit, but it really varies from state to state. Some states have had permits that have been revoked or being rewritten. Other states have had problems where they've tried to pull in, some terrestrial uses. There's some gray area on what near water means. It creates a lot of confusion. And most of us, businesses don't operate in a single state. And so to have to deal with these different patchwork of Clean Water Act permit regulations from state to state is a concern. And then we've heard from some folks who do aerial pesticide applications, a lot of mosquito control applications. They're starting to have issues with insurance and would certain applications be covered by insurance or other things because of the liability concerns related to lawsuits and others. So this is one of those issues. While it may not seem direct to most of us in this room, it really is an issue that has to be stopped. And there is a solution. The House of Representatives last year passed a bill, H.R. 872. Many of you were here last year talking about that piece of legislation. It says unequivocally, pesticide applications do not need NPDES permits. It doesn't matter if you're applying it to the land, if you're applying it to turf, if you're applying it to water. Pesticides that are registered by EPA do not require NPDES permits. The House passed that legislation late last year. The Senate Agriculture Committee also passed that legislation last year, but it's never been brought to the Senate floor for a vote, despite the fact that there's over 60 senators who are willing to vote for the legislation. And that's because of the rules of the Senate. An individual senator can hold up a bill and say, we don't want it. And in this case, Senator Boxer from California and Senator Cardin from Maryland have said, we oppose this legislation. We do not want it to come up for a vote. If it's part of an amendment to any other piece of legislation or anything else, we will hold up that legislation. And therefore, we've never had a vote on the Senate floor on this bill.